Hello, everyone. This is Seville. I will be your IELTS trainer today, and we will be covering the reading and writing sections of the IELTS test. Now, I want to make sure you can hear me well. Let me open the chat box. All right. And let me close this. Attendees. So, can you hear me well? Let me see. Oh, yes, my colleagues have responded to me. Thank you very much. And all attendee, yeah. And now I can see. So Yasmina says, yes, thank you very much for responding to that, Yasmina. Now that was a sound check, ladies and gentlemen. We will be starting in 10 minutes. And I'm sure we'll enjoy tonight's show. See you in a bit then. And I think it's time. It's all, yes, 1 more minute to the webinar. But I wanted to start beforehand to talk about a few things that I think are important. Let me also open the screen first. First of all, the same question again. Ladies and gentlemen, can you all hear me well? And I'm looking forward to your responses. And let's see, Murat says yes, Olena says yes. And I'm at the university. This is the bell. I'm sorry. You might hear it twice more, not more than that, hopefully. Let's wait for that to finish first. I also want to turn on the air condition, trying to make myself as comfortable as possible. And Yana hears me well. Perfect. Sasha, it gives me 3 pluses. Perfect. Lovely, lovely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now I think we can start. Now, let me make the conventional start. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the British Council's Success, one of the Success in IELTS webinars. We run these seminars on 3 topics. One is the general one that we talk about all 4 tests, but this one, tonight's show, is exclusively dedicated to reading and writing, as you all know. And I have introduced myself earlier, but I want to introduce again. My name is Seville, and I'm your IELTS trainer tonight. And today's session, as I said earlier, is going to be about reading and writing only. We are going to cover top tips and very useful information about these 2 tests. And I think, well, I'm ready, and I think you are too. So shall we get started? And there you are. So that's, I'm going to move the chat box about, here. That's better. All right. And so, guys, the first slide is about the test format. Wait, I lost my screen. That's why I paused a bit. Now it's back again. Perfect. I'm going to make it a bit more lighter. Great. On this slide, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about the IELTS format briefly. The listening test and the speaking tests, as you can see. Hello, Uzbekistan. The listening and the speaking tests are in the same color. They are both purple. Actually, there is something wrong with this slide. The reading and writing tests are also in the same color, and they shouldn't be. But anyways, the listening and the speaking sections of the two modules are exactly the same. What I'm trying to say is, regardless of what tests, what module you are taking, you will be given the same listening and speaking tests. However, in the speaking test, you may not get, the very same questions, but the format is exactly the same. And the reading and writing sections on each module will be slightly different. We are going to cover these very tests in detail later in the presentation on tonight's show. Now, the total test time, of course, we should not forget to mention that. The IELTS test takes 2 hours and 44 minutes plus 10 minutes, which will be given to all of you, at the end of the listening test to transfer your answers from your question booklets to your answer sheets. So we covered the fact that listening and the speaking tests will be exactly the same. And reading and writing tests will differ depending on what module you are taking. And the total test time is 2 hours, 44 minutes, plus 2 hours, 54 minutes. That's all about the slide. Let's move on, please. Right, IELTS 9 Bend scale. IELTS results, ladies and gentlemen, range from Bend scores of 9 to 0. Mine is the highest, obviously. The IELTS 9-bin system is used to measure and report scores in a consistent manner. IELTS examiners are trained in line with globally accepted standards to ensure consistency and equality of their assessment. And to be honest, we will not focus too much on the Ben scores tonight, but if you would like to get further information, you can find the public versions of the Ben descriptors on takeielts.britishcouncil.org, takeielts.britishcouncil.org. You can find the public versions of the Ben descriptors, and you can check the criteria and the how we assess your work. And 90, the website. Yeah, I think that's all about the slide as well. I want to spend more time on the two tests on reading and writing, obviously, on tonight's show. Now, guys, the reading test. We're there. First of all, I want to start with the nitty-gritty, the facts and figures of the IELTS reading test. The reading test takes 60 minutes. And you have to answer 40 questions, which spread over 3 texts, always. The test is divided into 3 sections with a total of around 2,500 words, maximum 2,800-ish words. This is the maximum word limit you would get. There are several different question types, and you might have to answer, multiple choice questions, or you might have to match headings or something else to the right place in the text, or you might have to write short answers. I will show you a list of all question types very shortly. And I want to remind you that there will be no extra time for you to transfer your answers, unlike the listening test. We're not covering the listening test tonight, but remember what I said earlier when I was talking about the total test time, 2 hours, 44 minutes plus 10 minutes, which will be given to you at the end of the listening test. Now, you will have extra time to transfer your answers in the listening test. However, you're not that lucky in the reading test. You will have to do it in your own time. So this is very important. I don't want you to experience any shocks, any heart attacks, God forbid, during the exam. So I want to say that. And I really took my time because I want all of you to learn and remember this forever. Right. What's next? Right, pencils. Oh, before that, thank you very much. Pencil only. 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4th item on the slide, ladies and gentlemen, pencil only. You will be using a pencil while you are doing the listening and the reading tests. And you will be marking your answers on the answer sheet with a pencil again. Thank you very much. Now we can move on to the next slide, please. Great. Now, the reading, the test format. Oh, okay. This is about the general training. Right. Can we go back for a minute? I want to check something. Okay. Oh, right, guys. Look, I did not mention one thing. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The 8th item on the, actually no, 7th item on the slide. 1 hour to answer 40 questions on 3 articles. I know I've said it earlier, but I want to do one thing. So we have 1 hour, 3 articles. You can do the maths, obviously. You have 20 minutes per text. And you cannot read the text word by word intensively with pleasure and then answer the either 13 or 14 questions on these texts. This is not how IELTS test is designed. We expect you to skim and scan. I will talk about these skills later, but I need you to read the texts quickly, paying attention to certain details, certain things. Then read the questions with purpose. Then scan the text for the correct answers to the questions. And there are either 13 or 14 questions, depending on the exam. This is the general rule, and this is about the academic reading. Now, the second slide, the following slide, I meant to say, I'm sorry. The following slide is about the general training reading. Now, I just wanted to make this separation, make this clarification. Now, this is about the general training reading. 1 hour for 3 sections of increasing difficulty. Now, I did not say the very same thing for the previous academic reading test. Now, in the general training reading, the texts get more and more difficult as you progress through the test. So they're in order, from the easiest to the hardest. But we cannot say the same thing for the academic reading. Sometimes my students at the university, at the British Council, they ask me, shall I start from and they're academic test takers, by the way, to remind you, shall I start with the easiest one? And I say, how do you know where the easiest text is? You don't know. It's random. So make sure the academic test takers, you cannot know which text is easier. Well, you can after 2 hours, after having read all the texts in detail, but you cannot know during the exam. In the general training, however, you know. I'm telling you, there is an increasing difficulty in the general training reading, and test time is the same, 60 minutes, and no transfer time again. Section 1 includes 14 items, 2 or 3 short texts or several shorter texts, such as advertisement, leaflets also. Section 2, 13 questions, 13 items, usually 2 texts, and section 3, 13 items, but 1 longer test. And let's see, what else? I'm looking at my notes, by the way. Oh yeah, I think I've covered everything. Yeah, so these are the basics, the nitty-gritty of the tests. And now let's move on. I'm going to talk about the IELTS reading question types. Now, here's a list of the IELTS reading question types. Please have a look at the list. And as you go through, I want to make some suggestions. I'm a teacher, it's my job. I suggest you familiarize yourself with these task types before you take the test. I know how you feel, by the way. True, false, not given questions are particularly hard, or yes, no, not given, I should have said. And actually, I should have added that too. But be careful with this. When a statement is false, then there will be information in the text which directly contradicts it. If you can't find any clear information that does that, then you should choose not given. All that matters is what the text actually says, not what it suggests, or not what you think or what you feel about it. We will be working on some sample questions shortly, don't worry. That's why we're running this webinar, to clarify most of the things that we think you might have trouble with. And let me go through the text, through the slide. All right, I think I have, I'm going to say a few more things in the next slides. Now, let's continue, please. Essentials, yeah. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I regret to inform you that there are no shortcuts and no magic either. If you want to improve your reading skills, read as much as you can. Newspapers, magazines, journals, you must read those. The more variety, the better, of course. I personally advise my students to read 2 articles on environmental issues, 2 articles on technology, and 2 articles of their own choice every week. If you read at least 6 articles every week, you will see how much and how soon you improve. Time, practice, persistence, shortly. That's what I've been trying to say. These 3 elements are very important to success in IELTS, especially in the reading test. Actually, writing too. You really need to take your time to improve yourself. Let's move on, please. Right. Oh, essentials. And now, another group of essential skills: skimming, scanning, and intensive reading. Now, let's talk about these a little. While you're studying, practice reading skills such as skimming. Now, what does skimming mean? I'm sure you have heard of this. Skimming means, ladies and gentlemen, looking over an article or a paragraph to identify the key themes or general ideas. This includes paying attention to titles, subtitles if there are any, keywords, and topic sentences. As to scanning, it is, of course, when you're looking for specific information, perhaps a number or a name or a date, number, day, date, what else? Or an idea, anything, whatever the question suggests, whatever the question asks. If you know the specific type of answer you need to find, you don't need to read every single word in the article. For example, if you know you need to find out how much money something costs, well, I'm picking an easy one. I know. But if you're looking for, as I said, how much money something costs, run your eyes quickly down the article, looking for a number with a currency indicator, obviously. Then decide if this is referring to what you're looking for. Skimming provides a bird's eye view of some material. And later, scanning helps you to swoop down to locate the specific details you need. And another skill, the third skill, I believe, which is extremely important, is intensive reading. This helps you to understand the details in an article when you practice reading tests. Now, don't read an article intensively to begin with. I've already said this. This is a common mistake. First, skim the article quickly, get a sense for what the subject of the article is, and then look at the title, headings, diagrams, subtitles, as I said earlier. And I suggest you read the first sentence of each paragraph to determine the theme of each paragraph. And last as well, if you have time or if you feel like it, if you think it works for you, read the questions later to be clear what you're looking for. Once you have skimmed and scanned, I think you are prepared, you're ready to analyze the questions carefully, circling keywords and thinking of synonyms for those keywords. Keywords, synonyms. Don't expect to find the exact same words in the article. Sorry, I know it's not. It might be bad news for some of you, but vocabulary skills are very important. They will not. They use the same words in the questions and in the articles. Synonyms will be used. Right. Let's have a look at the next slide. Now, these are all real IELTS questions taken from past exams. Right, and intelligence. During the course of this exhaustive study, Raznikova has grown so attached to her laboratory ants that she feels she knows them as individuals, even without the paint spots used to mark them. It's no surprise that Edward Wilson, in his essay In the Company of Ants, advises readers who ask what to do with ants in their kitchen to watch where you step, be careful of little lives. Now, that's part of the text. And here's the question. It's a true or not given question. And there's a spelling mistake, not given, obviously. We'll definitely correct it later. Not given. And the question is, the essay in the company of ants explores ants' communications. What do you say? I would like to see some answers, please. I would like to see some more, please. Very good. Very good. I'm afraid Murat and Innovative Centre. Sorry, but that's what it says. So Innovative Centre and Murat, you're wrong. The answer is not given. The correct answer is not given, but wait. I would like to explain the words here. I'm a teacher, old habits die hard, you know. Let's go through the text again. So first of all, during the course of this exhaustive study, what does exhaustive mean, guys? Have you got any ideas? Intensive, deep, not tiring in this sense. Extensive, boring, very hard. Well, there is a variety, obviously. Not temporary, not at all. Now, ladies and gentlemen, temporary, exhaustive is temporary. Sorry, I'm confused. I was also, I'm trying to read all the answers at the same time. That confused me. What can I say? I would say complete and including everything. Comprehensive, Brenmer. Thank you very much, Brenmer. That's what I was just going to say. John, thank you very much. Yeah. So I was saying complete and including everything. A report can be exhaustive. A study can be exhaustive, but it doesn't mean difficult or boring. So, and I think all the other words are okay. So, why is it not given? Let's see. The essay in the company of ants explores ant communication. And communications, actually, it's plural, sorry. So, it says, it's no surprise that Edward Wilson, in his essay in the company of ants, advises readers who ask what to do with their ants in the kitchen to watch where you step, be careful of little lives. It's nothing to do with communication. It's actually a piece of advice, a suggestion, a recommendation to people who don't know what to do with their ants in the kitchen, basically. So there is no reference for ant communication in this essay. Remember what I said? You have to find. Oops, I closed the chat. Wait, oh yes, found it again. It's back on my screen. So you really need to see a sentence, a word contradicting the question. Here, there is no information. That's why not given is definitely the correct answer. By the way, since this is only a part of the text, I know it's hard to explain, or maybe it's hard for you to understand too. How do you feel, guys? I want you to be involved a little more. Am I making sense here? Oh, perfect, because how you feel is very important to me. Wonderful. Great. I'm glad you feel that way. And please don't hesitate to express yourselves, okay? If you don't understand something, if you look for explicit text, exactly. It's not about what you assume. Assume, exactly, yes. Do not assume or imply. Thank you very much. I've got some cool assistants on tonight, so thank you very much. And let's go on to the next slide, please. And I'm going to, now I maximized the screen to see the whole thing, and I want to see the texts at the same time. Right, so it's from the same text by the way. Ants store food, repel attackers, and use chemical signals to contact one another in case of attack. Such chemical communication can be compared to the human use of visual and auditory channels, as in religious chants, advertising images and jingles, political slogans, and martial music, to arouse and propagate moods and attitudes. The biologist Lewis Thomas wrote, "Ants are so much like human beings as to be an embarrassment. They farm fungi, raise aphids and livestock, launch armies to war, use chemical sprays to alarm and confuse enemies, capture slaves, engage in child labor, exchange information ceaselessly. They do everything but watch television." Now, let's see. Again, truth was not given. Ants use the same channels of communication as humans do. What do you say? I'm trying to see all the answers. False for sure. There are some true, not given. Well, now, such chemical communication can be compared to the human use of visual and auditory channels. So, what are we comparing? The fact that ants store food, repel attackers, use chemical signals to contact one another. So the way they communicate is using chemical signals. I don't personally use chemical signals, and I hope you don't either. But this is a way of communication. So this chemical communication can be compared to our communication. So, ants use the same channels? No. What they do can be compared to our communication channels. What are our communication channels? Visual and auditory channels. So that is, as Tanya has just said, it's false. And I hope I managed to explain it. And also, the boring teacher speaks again. I want to teach you some words. Let's say, what does livestock mean, guys? Thank you, Natalie. John, thank you. Yeah, animals and birds that are kept on a farm, such as, well, cows, sheep, as you just said, chickens as well. So that's livestock. How about ceaseless? Another cool word. Again from John, thank you very much. And now, since it's very difficult to pronounce your name, but I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to give it a go. Hanama. Oh, I hope that didn't sound too bad, but I tried. So you're both right. It means without stopping or seem to have no end, definitely. And continuously, thank you, Matilda. Although you misspelled continuously. Can you spell it again, please? So this is a reading and writing session. I need to correct your mistakes too. And I don't mind it at all. I'm enjoying it, actually. Spell it again. Let's see. There isn't, I'm not going to give any tips, any clues. Impossible word to write correctly. Definitely. Very good, very good, very good. Cool. Thank you very much. And so we talked about, yes, and I think we can move on to the next text. All right. Good old William Henry Perkin. Right. At the time, quinine was the only viable medical treatment for malaria. The drug is derived from the bark of the cinchona tree, native to South America. And by 1856, demand for the drug was surpassing the available supply. Thus, when Hoffman made some passing comments about the desirability of a synthetic substitute for quinine, it was unsurprising that a star pupil was moved to take up the challenge. Right. True, false, or not given? The question is, the trees from which quinine is derived grow only in South America. What do you say, ladies and gentlemen? And I'm going to take a sip of water while you're thinking. I'm not expecting to see any true answers, by the way. It's either going to be false or not given. And this is what I see, but which one? All right. Wow, cool. I think most of you got it correct. Yeah, majority said not given, I think. Not given is the correct answer. And I think that was Murat. He said, because of the word only. Exactly, Murat. Yeah. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here you see, native to South America, but it can, this type of tree can grow in other parts of the world as well. So it is not stated clearly whether it only grows in South America or not, but it's definitely native to South America. It's for sure, it's given. But the fact, I mean, we don't know if it doesn't grow anywhere else. So not given is the correct answer. And in which case it would be false. But the question, we need to change the question totally. So do you remember the question before, John? There was a sentence contradicting otherwise. In that case, it would be false. But here, it's native to South America. Okay, but does it grow only there? We don't know. That's why not given seems more sensible. Would you agree with me, John? Perfect, perfect, perfect. Great, great, great. I love I've really enjoyed these webinars. Now, again, your teacher speaking, guys, not the IELTS trainer Seville, but English teacher Seville. What does drive mean? D-E-R-I-V-E. Any ideas? Drive from. Very good. Originate sounds good. I would say not made from, but I would say come from or made from. It's okay. It's all right. I would say to come from. For example, the English word olive is derived from the Latin word oliva. And there are many, many other sample words which are derived from the Latin. All right, hierarchy, no problems. But I want to keep the communication language English, if that's okay. And what about substitute? It can be used as a verb or a noun. And here, a synthetic substitute. Here, definitely it's a verb. Replacement, thank you very much. Great, that's the answer. I would say a thing or person that is used instead of another thing or person. I was a vegetarian for 6 years, not anymore, but from 2001 to 2007-ish, mid-2007, I was a vegetarian. And I used to eat tofu as a substitute, as a meat substitute, actually. Replace, Svetlana, is spelled with an C rather than an S. So, you got it right, but not the spelling. Just to remind you, so you don't make this mistake. And not in IELTS. Then. So I said tofu can be used as a meat substitute, right? So I think you got it correct. You got it. You understood the meaning. Oh, again. Right. Okay. Next one, please. Here we are. And this is for Svetlana. Okay. Some wells are vast, open craters with hundreds of steps, paving each sloping side, often in tiers. Often are more elaborate with long stepped passages leading to the water via several stories, built from stone and supported by pillars. They also included pavilions that sheltered visitors from the relentless heat. But perhaps the most impressive features are the intricate decorative sculptures that embellish many stepwells, showing activities from fighting and dancing to everyday acts, such as women combing their hair or churning butter. Now, I need an one-word answer for this question. Which part of the stepwells provided shade for people? And I want to see your chats. Very, very good. So far, so good. Everyone's right. However, one thing. Now, you're going to say Sybil was crazy, but I think it's one person started pavilions with a capital P. And just, I want to make sure we cover everything about the IELTS today. That's why I'm being very silly and very picky. I know, but don't start the word with a capital P on your answer sheet in the IELTS exam. So the rest, starting with a small case P, are correct. You need to pay attention to that as well. Anastasia made the same mistake. I mean, it's not a mistake, I know, but just to remind you that pavilions should start with a small P, please. Great. And thank you very much for all the answers. Yeah, I think everyone got it correct. Perfect. Now let's talk about the words here, guys. I want to ask you a few words. Let me read the text again. What does elaborate mean? I like that. Elaborate. Where was that? I lost. Oh, right there. Yeah. Often are more elaborate with long stepped passages and so on. Not difficult, intricate explanation. No. Elaborate, guys, and elaborate as the verb form. As an adjective, we can describe it as containing a lot of careful details or many detailed parts. I'm trying to read. Well, how about this? They are making the most elaborate preparations for the wedding. Yeah, complex. I like that. Imagine I'm wearing a skirt with many geometric shapes and with a lot of colors, a colorful skirt with many geometric shapes and another and the top and the blouse again with very different colors compared to the skirt, different colors and different shapes. You would say, wow, the way she's dressed is quite elaborate. You could say that with a lot of details. Definitely, yeah. Mind killer. Murad, you're quite right. Yeah. If something is too elaborate, it might be very confusing. Diverse, Natalie, super. I'm glad we're going through these. How about embellish, ladies and gentlemen? What would you say for that? Beautify, adorn, to make something beautiful. Wow, great. Absolutely, John and Julia. Great, yeah. So if you embellish something, you make it more beautiful or maybe interesting by adding something to it. Very good made. Well, so for example, imagine I don't like white ceilings. I find them boring. And imagine I'm an architect, interior architect. So you can say, Seville embellished all her ceilings with flowers and leaves, with paintings. And remember, as I was explaining the meaning, I also said, if you embellish something, you may try to make it more interesting by adding something to it. So you can embellish a story. And my father, for instance, if he's ill, he always embellishes the way how he feels. You know, he likes it and we love it too. Flatter, attractive. Yeah, that's cool. Very good, guys. Very good. Let's move on to the next slide, please. Next slide, please. I'm not controlling the presentation. That's why I was, asking my colleagues to do it. Thank you very much. Now, reading tips to remember, ladies and gentlemen. Now, first of all, I'm going to start with a recap. Look out for the title, headings, and any special features such as capital letters, underlining, italics, figures, graphs, tables. These are the first things I can think of. Then read the first and the last sentence of each paragraph, remember? Make notes around the article as you do this. You're allowed to take notes, underline, circle, draw arrows if you want to. And be clear what you're looking for. And then start scanning. The word or words you use must be taken from the reading text. Now, this is important. When you're writing your answer, the words you use must be taken from the text. In other words, you are not paraphrasing. You are not changing the form of the words in the text. This is very important. And focus precisely, exactly. That's what I've covered. I'm just going through again. Yeah, all these 4 items are covered. Next one, please. Now, read the questions. Well, instructions, it says on the slide. Read the questions carefully and the instructions for the questions as well. Read the instructions for each part of the paper carefully. Okay, let me say it clearly. Pay attention to the word limit. If the question asks you to write no more than 2 words, and if you write 3 words, I'm afraid you will lose the question, and I don't want you to do that. So instructions are extremely, vitally important. Remember, there are no penalties for wrong answers in the IELTS test, so do answer all the questions. And remember, once again, I wanted to put this here, there is no extra time to transfer your answers. So you need to think of a method, develop a strategy. Are you going to do it after each question? Are you going to do the transfer? Or are you going to transfer after each section? Try to practice it at home, then apply in the actual exam. Most of my students, they don't want to take a risk and they transfer after each question. See and decide which one works for you better. Let's move on, please. Now, reading resources. Right. Well, I'm an English teacher and I'm with students every single day, so I can empathize very easily. When it comes to finding things to read in English, guys, we all know that it's never been easier than it is these days. Thanks to the internet, you have access to newspapers, blogs, and all kinds of articles in English. Find a topic that you're interested in, and you can find something to read about it. For example, today, well, I think I'm going to share this with you. Wait. Today, this is what I studied at the university with my students. And these are amazing articles. I'm going to do one more. Wait. Yes. And there's one. Two amazing articles from the Guardian newspaper. I enjoyed reading those. One more. Ah, the bell goes again. I'm sorry. So as the bell goes, I'm going to search for the article. Wait. Independent, right. Guys, on its way now. And one more, then that's it. The Guardian, right. Perfect. Now, this is also interesting. Now, let me talk about the last article. Absolutely, Natalie. I know what you're talking about, and I totally agree. Now, the last article, guys, the one from The Guardian, it says, look here, French law forbids food waste by supermarkets, that one. So, basically, France became the first country in the world to stop supermarkets from wasting throwing away or destroying unsold food. And the government forced them to donate the unsold food to charities and food banks. Now, this is, first of all, very good news. But besides, it covers a lot of cool words. And the last one is, it definitely contributes to your reading. You will read an article designed for native speakers. And plus, in the writing part, if you are asked to write about environmental issues, environmental developments, how to deal with growing waste in the world, this is a perfect example for you to write about in your body paragraphs. So you need to be selecting cool stuff, technological developments, global problems like climate change and food waste and starvation. These are cool things to read about. And yeah, they are very useful, I would say. Absolutely innovative center. And so these are the 4 articles I could just think of right away. There are many, many more. But the first 2, as I said, the one ends with Japan leads field plastic recycling. And the second one, France to ban mobile phones in schools from September. This is very recent news. It has just gone into effect, or it will go into effect very, very soon, September 2018, if I'm not wrong. And I'm checking from the article. Yes, I'm not wrong. Yeah. So not very old. That one is a very recent article. And the others are not old either. The one about the supermarket waste ban is either from 2016 or 17. So go through these articles and make sure you learn the words covered in these articles. And I want you to be able to use these words in your writings comfortably. All right. And now I will close these articles. And what else now? So let me go back. So we said, talking about articles, Learn English magazine. Yeah. So I listed these 3 items there, and I think you should go on these links and see what's good for you. Okay. And what else I can say? Right. And one more thing. Please do not get discouraged if you're reading something and you have to stop and open your dictionary every 2 minutes to look up a word that you don't understand. Don't worry. This is how we all started. The foreign languages that I speak, I suffered exactly the same. I mean, I had to go through these. We all had been there, basically. You just need to persevere, not give up. All right? Remember that reading should be a pleasure. What I see this mistake being made over and over and over again. People who need to pass IELTS, they download or buy IELTS books, and they start doing IELTS reading tests. They study IELTS reading texts, and they believe this will help them pass the test. It might, but I think reading should be a pleasure. You can set tasks for yourself while you read, like identifying the main ideas in a passage or an article, and you don't have to go through all the IELTS texts covered in books. Go through newspaper articles and all these resources that I listed. Believe me, trust me, they will be useful. Now, let's go to the writing now. More resources there. All right. Education UK, the magazine, and Our Voices blog, Cute magazine. The thing is, tomorrow, this recording will be sent to you with the presentation, hopefully. So you can go and check these links out tomorrow. Now, the writing, please. Let's start. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, the writing test is divided into 2 parts, and you're expected to answer both of these questions in 1 hour. No selective questions. Now, task 1 differs depending on the module you're taking. I'm going to talk about both. First, I'm going to start with the academic module, right? In academic module, you need to analyze a diagram, a graph, a chart. Applicants should identify, let's say, 3 to 4 main significant points in each diagram and describe what they see. You may need to make comparison between data too. And you need to write at least 150 words. The same word count applies to the general training task 1 as well. In the general training, however, there is a letter writing, not a data or graph description. Candidates in the general training writing task 1, candidates are expected to explain their reason why they're writing this letter and address to all parts of the question. For both academic and general training, candidates are task 2 I'm talking about, the task 2. They're all expected to write at least 250 words, and everyone's writing an essay. Here's a tip, a very important tip. Task 2 contributes twice as much task 1 to the overall writing score. So if you're targeting high schools, you need to do task 2 well. And to master task 1 and 2, make sure you address to all parts of the question. In task 2, remember I said you will be writing an essay. An essay has 3 crucial parts. The introduction part, introduction paragraph, body paragraphs, and conclusion. And you need to develop your ideas and support them with examples in the body paragraphs. We expect you to write at least 4 paragraphs in task 2. I turned down the air condition. Now, Minimum word count, minutes. The total writing exam is 1 hour. We recommend you spend around 20 minutes on task 1 and around 40 minutes on task 2. Some of my students, especially engineering students at the university, they finish task 1 up quite quickly, 15 to 16, max 17 minutes. They say, we're engineers, we're good at numbers, but we're not that good at coming up with examples and writing an essay. So they tend to spend more time on task 2. Practice it at home. See what you can do, how much time you need to spend on each task. Next slide, please. Right, writing assessments. So this, I think, is quite important because these are the 4 criteria of writing assessment. This is how we evaluate your work. Now, task achievement and task response, cohesion and coherence, vocabulary, grammar, range, and accuracy. Now, let's start with task achievement and task response. These criteria, guys, focus on the degree to which exam questions has been answered properly. Remember, in the academic module, there is a writing task of at least 150 words where you should summarize, describe, or explain a table or a graph or a diagram. You might be expected to make comparisons to successfully negotiating this academic task 1. Now, it means you would need to identify all the key features in the diagram. You might lose marks if important details are left out. But you don't need to write every single thing. Provide sufficient details for a meaningful explanation. Not too much detail, not too little. I know it's hard to balance, but ensure accuracy when referring to data or describing trends or processes. It's important to write a clear overview. This means summarizing the most significant trends or features from the data or information in the diagram. I've just looked at the messages, if there are any new, no. And the general training module, guys, there was a letter writing task of at least 150 words, as I said earlier. And you need to explain the reason for the letter. And it should include all the points mentioned in the question and use a consistent and appropriate tone in both modules. In task 2, remember, is a short essay of at least 250 words. You were expected to present your opinion on a specific topic, supporting your ideas with evidence. In task 2, make sure you develop and support your ideas. Don't just mention them in a single sentence and move on to the next idea. No. Stick to one idea in one body paragraph, add explanations, examples, or experience. Then move on to the next body paragraph and do the same, but with a different central idea, with a different example. This is what I see. This mistake is, what I see in most exam papers. There's an introduction, one body paragraph, there is an idea, an example. Then the second body paragraph is almost the same, but paraphrased, changed, saying the same thing with different words. No, 2 body paragraphs should have 2 central ideas. Actually, I'm going to talk about this in coherence and cohesion anyway, but I just wanted to say it now. What else? Add explanations, examples, or experience, I said. And identify how many parts there are to the question and make sure you do everything you are asked to do. Before you write, I think it's a good idea. It's always a good idea to plan your ideas. So introduction, I'm going to either agree or disagree, or partially agree, disagree. Then 2 paragraphs. What can I say in the first body paragraph? I can use this example. Second paragraph, what can I say? This example. That's it. This is what I mean by plan. I don't want you to lose time writing a long plan. Time is precious. It shouldn't exceed 2 minutes, I would say. And you're allowed to write your plan on the side of the paper with your pencil. So yeah, do it. Why not? And now, second one, ladies and gentlemen, coherence and cohesion. Now, this is one of the 4 criteria on which your writing will be assessed. And coherence refers to the flow of your writing. Your ideas should be logically organized and appropriately sequenced into paragraphs, so they're easy to understand and follow for the examiners. I mean, we are people. we want to understand and enjoy what you write. Cohesion refers to linking words that help you connect ideas and show the relationship between paragraphs, sentences, or parts of sentences. So this criterion looks at, and the bell goes again. So this criterion looks at how a writing test answer is organized and how to link information and ideas as well. Here is one simple way to sequence ideas for effective. This is what I do. This is what I say usually. Wait. I want to check one thing. So there is something in my notes, but British Council, can you move on to the next slide? I want to see something. Right. Okay, cool. Let's go back. Thank you very much. So this is cohesion and coherence shortly. Now, vocabulary and grammar range and accuracy, we don't need to go through this. You understand. You need to be using a good level of vocab in order to increase your score. And in grammar, the more variety, the better. And you need to be using grammar accurately as well. Variety is not the only element. Variety and accuracy, range, variety, and accuracy. Now, let's go on to the next slide. Okay, now, guys, this is a sample question for academic module writing task 1. Now, you should spend 20 minutes on this task. The given graphs, we're going to show you the graphs in a minute. I think it's on the next slide. I prepared this presentation a while ago, so I can't remember exactly. The graphs give information about computer ownership as a percentage of the population between 2002 and 2010, and by level of education for the years 2002 and 10. Summarize by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. Write at least 150 words. Right, let's see the chart, please. There must be another chart because in the question, yes, there are 2. Okay, we need to work out a way to show these slides together. But anyway, so this is the case. Let's go back again for everyone to see the chart. So guys, please, you can either, if you want to take a photo, you could, but let's have a look. So computer ownership from 2002 and 10 to 4, 6, 8, and every 2 years. And it started around 55% and it went up to almost 80%. This is what I see. And I see a gradual increase. Would you agree with me? And the next slide, please. So this time we have the blue color represents 2002 and red color represents 2010. And we see people, we see people according to their educational achievements, educational qualifications, starting with no high school diploma to people holding postgraduate qualification. So look, the more educated they are more computers they have, right? And the gap between 2002 and 10 narrows down as time, as the education level goes up, right? So Now, what would an ideal answer be like? Now, guys, I want to say a few things. An ideal answer should first say what the bar charts show, give information about. In teacher trainings, I also help teacher trainings on IELTS. And in teacher trainings, I have this game. I give one teacher one piece or more pieces of data the other teacher doesn't see. The teacher who has the question, who has the data, starts to explain, starts to describe, depict, in other words, the data, and the other teacher starts to draw. Now, you need to give a very clear explanation of what the question is about. First of all, and can we go back to the question, please? Dear British Council, thank you very much. Look, the graphs give information about computer ownership. What kind of graphs are they? Bar graphs, right? Or bar charts. So, absolutely, bar charts. And you need to make sure you say this in your answer. The bar charts show data about computer ownership and more. In the question, it says, oops, I need to move the chats. The graphs give information. Don't repeat the same word. Paraphrase. Make sure the examiner sees you have a variety of words to offer, a variety of words to express yourself. So the bar charts show data about computer ownership. They both show information, show data about computer ownership, both. But the second chart, remember, the second bar chart, gave some further classification. It classified computer ownership by levels of education. I think there were 6. Can we go to the second chart, please? 1, 2, yeah, 5. I'm sorry, 5, yeah. So, I would say the bar charts show data about computer ownership with a further classification by level of education from 2002 to 10, or between 2002 and 10. It's up to you. Then an ideal answer should give an overview of the data, the most distinctive features. What do you see first when you look at the data? You need to write this. And then, guys, the rest of the details. I would say for this question, 3 paragraphs will be perfect. An introductory paragraph, an introductory sentence, even we can call it, which explains what we see. Then an overview paragraph, which talks about the most distinctive features of the data, maybe the superlatives. You can use your superlatives here. Then a detailed paragraph referring to the rest of the main trends and significant information. That's all. Now let's move on to the next slide. All right, there you are. Look, I have forgotten about this slide. So, ladies and gentlemen, an ideal academic task 1 answer should say what the bar charts show, give information about, and then an overview using the most significant features, superlatives, then cover the rest of the main trends and significant, the main trends and significant information, let's say. Let's move on, please. Now, the general training task 1 question. Now, here, guys, you need to make sure you answer the question fully. Now, let's be creative here. Let's imagine we're going to Oxford for a 7-month intensive advanced English course. The institution is called Best Academy of English, and it's located in Oxford city centre, okay? I'm just making this up now. You don't want to burden your parents, so you had been saving money for this course, and you want to work there too in order to earn some more pocket money. You also think that getting a job will help you make friends and socialize, And what else? How can I make this a bit more complicated? And let's say you have worked at a vegan restaurant in your hometown, so waiting a table or answering the phone at a restaurant can be good options for you, okay? Maybe you can ask your friend to call some restaurants in the city centre and find out whether they have vacancies. Now, I came up with a scenario, okay? Now, this scenario answers all the questions on this slide. Now, look, actually, let me start reading the question from the beginning. You should spend 20 minutes on this task. You are going to another country to study. You would like to do a part-time job while you study. So you want to ask a friend who lives there for some help. Write a letter to this friend. In your letter, give details of your study plans, explain why you want to get a part-time job, suggest how your friend could help you find a job. Now, I started telling you a story, and here you may need to be quite creative, because you need to come up with something to address all parts of the question. Give details of your study plans. What did I say? You're going to Oxford to study to an advanced English course, and you need to study. You need to go to a course, and also you need to earn some extra money. And the course is a full-time course, so you can work in the evenings. Then explain why you want to get a part-time job. I remember clearly I said in order to earn more pocket money, and suggest how your friend could help you find a job. So I said your friend can call some restaurants, because this friend of yours also lives in Oxford city centre. So be creative and come up with something for each question. Now, someone asked innovative something. I can't see the full name now. When academic part will start? I think you mean when will the academic part will start? When will the academic part start? Sorry. We have already started. We're covering both, darling. And let's say, yeah, actually, I've covered everything here. Let's move on, please. Next slide, please. Thank you very much. Here, I've said a lot of things, I know. I started with a story, then we read the question, we talked about being creative. Now, here is a summary. Identify the information you need. Make sure the tone is appropriate. Yeah, whether you're writing an informal or a formal letter. You need to be writing your answer on the answer sheet, obviously. Check your answers for completeness. Linkers, organization, and accuracy. Obviously, always check your answers. And let's move on to the next one, please. Task 2. Right. Now, this concerns both academic test takers and general training test takers. This time I'm going to read the question first. You should spend about 40 minutes on this task. Write about the following topic. Countries are becoming more and more similar because people are able to buy the same products everywhere in the world. Do you think this is a positive or negative development? Give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience. Write at least 250 words. Right. Having read that, guys, let's move on to the next slide, by the way. Right. For an ideal task 2. Now, what shall we do? You can go through the slide, and I'm going to talk about something. Remember what I said? You need to be writing at least 4 paragraphs. An introduction, 2 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. Now, here is something on top of everything you see on the slide. I'm going to talk about the concept of power writing. Power as in Power, strength, power writing. Now, here, P stands for planning. Plan first. O for organizing. Organize your thoughts. W for writing. Then write. E for evaluating. And R for revising. Always check your answer. This could be a map for you. Analyzing the question, identifying the different parts of the question, clarify the specific topic, understand the complete requirements. By doing these, I bet you will produce great work. Let's go on to the next slide, please. Now, more resources. We know that preparation materials are very important to you. Now, first of all, once you have registered your IELTS exam through the British Council, you will have access to around 30 hours, maybe more actually, of free training materials, which is called Road to IELTS. Make good use of it. And then, guys, I suggest these two websites for you, britishcouncil.org/take IELTS and learnenglish.britishcouncil.org. These are extremely good. And since most of us these days use smartphones, I suggest the British Council applications. Now, IELTS Word Power is specifically, exclusively dedicated to IELTS. I love it. I think you should it's free, download and make good use of it. Besides that, I personally use audio and video. That's the name of the application, audio and video. You will find documentary-like, very cool videos, and you can have subtitles if you like, in English, of course. And I love it. I use it in my lessons as well. So I think you might find it useful. And actually go to your app stores and just type British Council and download all and see if you need these or not. But there is good stuff out there, I can tell you that. Let's move on, please. Right, now, that is my favorite time. Time for more questions. Now, I have a set presentation and I went through that. I hope you enjoyed it. But if you have more questions, now it's time to ask. I'm here and watching you write. Well, Dunya, now this is a tricky issue. I'm not here to promote or to suggest what's good for you. So for that, I'm afraid you need to rely on your instincts or your friends' recommendations. Sorry. I wish I could be more helpful. Oh, Sasha, I'm glad. I'm glad you think it's great. Thank you very much. There's a problem with your last listening and speaking webinar. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Murat. I can't remember any problems. I don't know, really. Oh, so my colleagues know what you're talking about, Murat. Sorry, I just didn't get it. Oh, Dunya, it should be after introduction, of course. You need to introduce the data, what is given to you. The bar charts in our example, for example, I said the bar charts show this, then you need to write an overview paragraph. Olena, thank you for being here. Yes, IELTS sample letters, and there are many sample answers on the British Council website, guys. I think it's a very good idea to see some good samples and then produce your own work. Absolutely, Tanya. Yes, you should. Two different central ideas in two different body paragraphs in one essay. Absolutely. Now, I think about recommendations to develop your writing. You need to read good samples first, and then read and write, and have some work with ask one of your teachers or work with a professional to evaluate your writing. If you're on your own and if you want to go through this on your own, I should say read, because not only essays, but read a lot in general. So you are exposed to different phrases, words, the way how we use different words in different contexts. Murat, thank you for being here, and thank you for your kind words. Sure. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Oops, no questions so far. All right, thank you very much. And Matilda and everyone, it was a great session. I enjoyed it very much, and I see that you have enjoyed it too. Great. I wish you the best of luck in your IELTS exams. I hope you get the scores you want and get ahead in your lives. Have a very good evening, and join us later for our listening and speaking section if you want to. Bye-bye.